Hi, this is Ketra, and I never do lives on here, but I wanted to get on here because I had a few minutes of downtime today, and I want to talk a little bit about what an emotional hangover is and kind of the collapse that can happen when you leave a toxic relationship. Most everyone in this group has dealt with that, either in the past or they're currently dealing with it. And so I think it's important because even if it isn't our intimate relationship that we're dealing with, we are dealing with other people in our lives that tend to be toxic and can create this dynamic for us. So when you're leaving a toxic relationship, it's like you've been climbing uphill, just like clawing your way out of it, because you vacillate between having this magical thinking about what you wish would happen, but the reality of what is happening, and you're just you're working really hard to get yourself to a clear place in your mind and get yourself out. It's like climbing out of a deep, dark pit. And so once you're out of that pit, the thing is that you can really easily just collapse on the ground because you've exhausted yourself getting out. And there's a whole list of feelings that you could be having, and they will come at different times, and it can take a while to process through them. So I just kind of want to touch on some of the things that are normal. First of all, you can feel a great sense of relief and just optimism, feeling like, oh, finally, I'm free. But that's usually followed by some other feelings. So first of all, you might have ruminating doubts about yourself and about the reality of the situation, especially once you've given some time and distance and now you're not in their presence all the time. And so you think, was it really that bad? I'm not so sure, because you're not feeling that constant attack anymore, and it can get a little confusing in your mind. The next thing is you might feel a little embarrassed. You might feel embarrassed that you wasted the time. You might feel embarrassed that you tried so hard and it didn't work. There can be all kinds of reasons, and that can even cause a little bit more of a feeling of maybe wanting to close yourself in and not be with other people. And there's definitely some positives to giving yourself the time and space to rest, but you want to remember that connection is important, and getting connected back into the real world where you're not dealing with this destructive person is also a really important part. So you also might feel a little bit of defensiveness, like you feel like you have to explain to other people what happened and all the details. And sometimes that's important for close people in your life that you need to keep in your support system. But other times it might not be as important, even though you feel this sense of defensiveness, like the whole world thinks this other person is great, and I need to make sure they understand that that's not my reality or my experience. You also can feel really triggered when you hear other people's stories about what they're going through or similar situations. You might feel triggered right back to those same feelings that you felt when this was what you were going through, and this was just an overwhelming feeling for you. And so just being cautious about exposing yourself to listening to similar stories that might be triggering and might bring back a flood of old feelings is really important, because if you get triggered and it sends you for a loop, like it can really mess up your day, your week, and start you down this path of ruminating thoughts that just isn't going to get you anywhere. So be cautious what you're exposed to. And you might feel like you're at risk of being sucked back in if this person is now like being really nice and they're not actually exiting your life. You might feel like you're really at risk for the love bombing to happen all over again, and you get sucked right back into the situation. And so there's this fear around that, and also some confusion. And the other thing is, it's very likely that at some point, if you haven't already, you feel anger. There's an injustice for what happened. This wasn't the relationship you signed up for. This wasn't the person that presented themselves to you in the beginning with all the kindness. What they turned into wasn't what you were expecting. And that anger is really righteous anger. And I want to encourage you to feel it as it comes up, because the more we suppress our feelings, the less able we are to process through them properly. And so it's okay to feel angry, even to like beat up the pillows on your bed and scream into them and just get that anger out of your body in a somatic, physical way. Because anger is always something that's present when there's something that wasn't fair. And if something's not fair in your life, you can either make it right or you can choose to release your connection to it. And so because you can't make what happened right, you can't make another person behave a certain way, you need to feel the anger and then allow for yourself to release it out of your body. The other thing is a fear of being alone. Now, this is part of the reason why it takes so long to leave sometimes in the first place, along with, trauma bond issues. But when you feel afraid to be alone, take the time to slow down, to breathe, and to center yourself in your reality. Remind yourself why you left in the first place. What was the reason you left? Why was it so unbearable? This constant feeling that was something that was too much for you to take. So just reminding yourself that you left for good reason. And really, you left because you wanted to have a better and different life. You didn't want to keep going round and round in the crazy cycle. So be patient with yourself. This is a process, and just practice accepting that the other person is broken and you're releasing them from your life now. There's no more attempt to fix them or fix the situation. You're letting it go. And so now, because of their dysfunction, you now have things in you that need to heal. What they've done to you has caused harm. And so you need to take the time and effort to walk through the healing process. And ideally, it's better if you have some guidance, some help. Obviously, that's what I do with my hypnotherapy programs. It allows you to go into your subconscious mind and really reframe your entire viewpoint of yourself, your self-worth, where that comes from, redefine the way that you think and feel about yourself and the world, and get yourself back to a reality that isn't so toxic and unpredictable, because you don't need to walk on eggshells everywhere when you're not in those relationships anymore. But it can be hard to get back to the normal, and it can be really hard to get back to the you that you once were. And so having help in that process is really important. So anyway, I just wanted to pop in here and share that with you. I want to be able to answer your guys' questions. If there's something that keeps coming up for you once you've gotten out of a toxic relationship, or something that you believe, a belief system that was created during that time that you're just kind of unable to shake, I'd love to hear about it. So please comment, let me know what you want to hear. And I'm going to try to get on here once a week at least to do a live in this group. So please put your questions under this one so that I can address them in my next live, because I want to address the things that are really important to you right now. And I want to help get you any kind of clarity that I can. So I hope you have a great week. See you next time.